Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, it is going to be a story time on being pregnant at 16 and in high school. So I wrote down a timeline, so I won't leave anything out. And yeah, so to start it off, I want to talk about how I met my son's dad. Getting through, the whole meeting, the whole timeline. All right, the timeline starts with us meeting. I cover how we met, whatever. Then moving on to the separation. Then from the separation, getting back together, getting pregnant, all while being in school. Then giving birth, the experiences after birth, and then everything that transpired after till the present day. Okay, so I met my son's dad in 2009. I was a sophomore in high school. I was 15 when we met. The way we met, it was hilarious. We met through AIM. During that time, anybody who lived in the Bronx, New York, whatever, knows that from 2000 and let's say 2007 through 2012, those were the party days, the hooky days, the hooky parties. It was all that during that time. So I met my son's dad 2009 through a friend, through AIM. We one day decided to meet up on whatever. So anyways, I went with my best friend. And after I started getting comfortable with him, I started going, less and less without her until I was real comfortable. After I was real comfortable, I would go either after school or I would cut school just to go be with him. That started messing up with my school, It started messing with my school, messing up my grades, messing up my attendance. My mom started, getting mad at me, and my relationship with my mom started going downhill because I thought I was growing since I was in high school. Yeah, mom, you can't tell me nothing. I'm 16, blah, blah, blah. But little did I know the consequences that would come with that. So around 2010, the ending of 2010, no, the beginning of 2010, sorry, he had to move to Connecticut with his sister. And after he moved out there, we only lasted 2 months together. Then we separated, because we thought it would be the best thing. We didn't want to keep on holding on to each other and breaking each other's hearts, him cheating on me or me cheating on him. You never know what would happen. So anyways, he ended up coming back to New York around the end of 2010. We ended up getting back together, and a few months after that, the beginning of 2011, I got pregnant. I got pregnant around April, and during that time, he started sleeping over more and more until he ended up moving in with us because he didn't have anywhere else to go. My mom allowed for him to live with me or whatever, but I had to get on birth control. I got on birth control. The birth control that I was on was the Depo shot. The Depo shot basically failed for me. It wasn't a successful birth control. So yeah. So I ended up getting pregnant a few months after he came back from Connecticut, moving in with me. I didn't find out I was pregnant until a week before my 17th birthday. And when I found out, it was because my mom was getting suspicious. She was seeing that I was sleeping a lot. I didn't want to go to school. And if I would go to school, I would fall asleep in class. My teachers would call her and tell her I was failing and I was at risk of getting, left back and staying in the 10th grade and all that. And she didn't want that for me. So she's like, you know what? I have to figure out what's going on with her. The day before she bought the pregnancy test, she sat down with me and she started asking me, like, are you okay? Are you depressed? Are you going through anything? Blah, blah, blah. You can talk to me. I was fine. I was just honestly, like, tired. Like, I just wanted to sleep all the time. So, um, the next day she got the test, she came home, she woke me up because I was sleeping when she got home. She woke me up, she said, come on, let's go to the bathroom. We go to the bathroom, she gives me the pregnancy test, and I'm just looking at her like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have that? Like, I'm not pregnant, I'm on birth control. Little did I know, my little itty bitty weedy baby was growing inside of me. By the time I found out, I was 12 or 14 weeks, one of those two. So I found out the gender pretty quick, like after finding out. But yeah, I took the test. As soon as I peed, like, you see the big, bright, dark plus sign on that test. And I started crying. Started crying. She's like, don't worry, I'm gonna be here for you no matter what. And I'm gonna be here for the baby no matter what. You can always count on me. I go and I tell my son's dad, like, hey, I'm pregnant. He didn't believe it at first, so he was like, when I get home, we'll talk. I was like, listen, if you don't believe me, there's another test, and I can take it in front of you if you want. You know, there's no point of me to lie about this. Like, who wants to lie about being pregnant and being 16 during that time, like turning 17? Like, those are the times where you want to be partying with your friends and having fun. Like, I got to have my fun, you can say, during the time we were separated. That's when I started going out, going to hooky parties, cutting school with my friends, and, you know, enjoying my teen years. During the pregnancy was tough. It was tough in where I would have to go to the emergency room every 2 to 3 weeks because I was getting dehydrated, like, severely. I would get dizzy spells to where I can't get up from bed because I would drop, or like almost drop. Like, I never fell when I was pregnant, but like I was getting there. Like, I was getting to the point where I was gonna fall. Like, if I got up either too quick or too slowly, like, I'll get dizzy, and it was from being dehydrated. So I ended up giving birth early. I ended up giving birth when I was 34 weeks. I was like 2 days away from being 35 weeks. And this was around Thanksgiving time. After I gave birth, the next day, a social worker goes and starts asking me questions, starts asking my son's dad questions, starts asking me about my mom, where is she, why, how did she allow for me to get pregnant because I was so young. And according to him, in the state of New York, like, you gotta be 17, and like 17 is the age of consent basically in New York. And since I was 16 when I got pregnant, like, he was saying, oh, that's going to get your mom in a whole lot of trouble. Like, it could be a possibility that you lose your child to the system, she loses you to the system, and loses your brother. You know, like, putting fear inside of me. So my whole postpartum, like, experience was tough due to the fact of the social worker. After my son got discharged from the hospital, because he had to spend a few days afterwards in the NICU. After he got discharged, he ended up getting a life-risking surgery in his stomach and his intestines. And that experience was the worst for me. Like, I thought I was gonna lose my child. Like, my baby was only 19 weeks, 19 days, and he was 19 days when he got diagnosed with pyloric stenosis, which is something that gets surgery done either immediately or within months. his had to get resolved immediately because of his age and the risk that would happen if I held on, you know, from him not getting that surgery. So he got surgery when he was 20 days old. And when the doctor told me, the risks that come with that surgery, like, hey, your child has a 50% chance of survival during the surgery because he's so young, he's so fragile, his body is not strong enough to withhold all the pain and tugging and pulling and everything that's going to happen like during the surgery. He's like, don't worry, the surgery takes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. Since he's little, it's little intestines, little stomach, everything is little during that moment. During the surgery, I guess they found complications, something happened. I don't know, they didn't tell me. But instead of being an hour, it took 3 hours. Those 3 hours, I was crying like never before. Like, I felt like my baby was not going to come home with me. My baby was going to go from the hospital to a funeral home, God forbid. I'm trying not to cry. That moment was the toughest situation ever. I thought I was not going to get out of the funk that I was in after that. So from my postpartum being from the social worker, the surgery, after the surgery, like a month and a half later, I find out that my son's dad was texting other females, and that broke my heart even more. So I thankfully didn't fall into a deep postpartum depression, but I had postpartum depression for a short amount of time. Like, I don't know how I got out of it, but I thank God that I did. Around the time that my son was 5, 6, 7 months, I had broke things off with his dad. I told him he had to get out of my house because we got extremely violent one day. I thought I was going to lose my life that day. Things got really out of hand that day. It was super scary. Like, I don't ever want to relive that moment ever in my life. And I held on to everything that I went through in that relationship with my son's dad for a very long time. It was hard. And now that I'm a mom to, a daughter, I want her to be able to talk to me during things like that. During moments like that, like it could be a moment where she has a boyfriend and her boyfriend out of nowhere just starts getting violent. And, I don't want her to feel alone during times like that. I felt alone because my mom was always working, and or she was out, handling stuff or being with her friends. And my mom and my relationship got worse after I got with my son's dad. Like, again. And there were days where she'll be like, hey, I'm going to take the baby with me. I'm going to take him to the park, blah, blah, blah. I'll be like, hey, okay. That's a break for me. I could, go to laundry or go clean the room, keep his stuff in place, pick up a little, or go hang out with a friend or have a friend come over or something. I was always with my best friend, like while being pregnant and after being pregnant. Like, she would come over, whatever. Then, the relationship between me and my son's dad just drew everyone away from me. It was hard. After that first breakup in 2012, in 2013, I was already yeah, I was in a second high school. So while I was pregnant, I'm gonna get to the school part now. After I spoke about, the bads in the relationship and whatever, the pregnancy. I'm gonna talk about pregnancy in school now. When I found out I was pregnant, it was already summertime. School was almost finishing, Once June hits, it's like Regents time. And I didn't have to take any Regents in June because I had taken them in January. So I was basically free, like, during Regents time. Like, you basically didn't have to come to school. You didn't have to. So when I went back to school, it was September. My stomach was bigger, Now it's noticeable that I'm pregnant. And teachers started getting disgusted with me, started distancing themselves. Sorry, I have to adjust this camera. Started distancing themselves from me. Some didn't even want to help me if I asked for help. It was only a few of them that actually, cared that I wanted my education. I wanted to finish school. I wanted to be that role model for my child and future children, So, after that, I ended up getting discharged from school when, like, my son was already born, actually. My son was 2 months old when I got discharged from school. So I spent a few months out of school searching for another school to go to. During that time, my brother was rebelling, started cutting school. And he was at risk of getting kicked out of school, like expelled out of school, because the friends he was around weren't any good. So they offered him to send him to an alternative high school. So during the time that he went to take his placement test for the alternative high school, I went and I tested the waters. I went to see if I could get accepted into that school too. So we took the placement test, and me and my brother scored the highest during that whole enrollment period of the first years of that school. We were basically the founding students of the school. And he had the highest score in math. I had the highest score in ELA. And I got accepted into the school, started making new friends, seeing my old friends from middle school, from high school, all of us, being around each other, even family. I was even seeing my cousins there, family, friends. So it felt, being in that school felt good. It felt like I wasn't alone, like I wasn't a failure, So, he started, like, my son's father started distancing himself more and more once I started that school. During the whole time of my son being, like, for the first year of my son's life, he did not work at all. I had to work. I worked for a full summer right before I started school again. And when I was in school, I started working within the school that they had, like, this paid internship program. And they had this paid internship program, and I was there for a few months as well, up until the time that I broke things off with my son's father, and my mom told him, like, hey, you can't stay here anymore, because we were getting him jobs and he would quit after like 3 paychecks, and none of the paychecks he would waste it on things that the baby needed. He would waste it on himself. He was being selfish, and I got tired of it. And my mom got tired of seeing me, stressing out, like, how am I going to do this for my child, stuff like that. So we had our breakup, whatever. I was still letting him come around. I told him, I won't ever stop you from being a dad, unless you stop being a dad. Once you stop, that's on you. I'm not going to chase you to be a parent, you know. So we broke up 2013. I was in my second year of no, actually it was still my first year of being in the alternative high school. So around April we broke up. April 2013. And through that time, I was making friends, being friendly, talking to different guys, but none of them were serious. Like, I was only serious with one of them, which was my husband. Well, which is my husband now. But my husband, I met him when I was in the 7th grade, I think it was. 7th grade? Yeah, 7th grade. So basically, like, it wasn't like I was getting with a stranger or anything, like, I knew my husband already. Anyways, back to the story. After we broke up, that's when the toxic behavior started coming about. Or like, he's just my son's dad. Like, no, I wasn't accepting that. So I got with my husband. Well, at the time he was my boyfriend. I got with him, and the first time we met, I really didn't want my son to be there, but my mom was out with friends celebrating one of her friends' birthdays, and my grandma was already getting sick during that time, so I really didn't want to leave my son with my grandma in her room. So I was like, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna put my baby in his crib, put his cartoons, while I just chill with my boyfriend. We were chilling, whatnot, and my son basically started like playing around with my boyfriend or whatever, and they both instantly, it's like an instant spark between them two. Like, they fell in love before me and my boyfriend fell in love, type of stuff. Like, seeing how he was with my son during that time is what made me, say, okay, like, God, if you're sending me an angel after I went through hell, thank you. During that time, I was just like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. If this is not the guy for me, then I'm not gonna do this dating thing again. So we ended up getting serious. He would always come sleep over at my house on the weekends. And certain weekends he wasn't able to because he was working 2 jobs. He was doing valet parking during the night, and then I believe working in a dealership during the day. So there was certain weekends that he couldn't be able to come sleep over. So it was one weekend I was like, you know what? How about we switch it up and I go sleep over at your house? I was gonna go by myself, but again, I didn't have a babysitter, and my son's dad was MIA. So I was like, I'm gonna have to take my son with me to your house if that's okay. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Blah blah blah. So he picks me up or whatever. We go to his house. I meet his mom, I meet his sisters, I meet his brothers, meet his stepdad, meet his sister's husband. You know, I had already met his sister and his sister's husband because we had went on like a double date type of stuff to the movies. So I already knew, like I was comfortable around them already. So now it was time to meet like the parents. So I was nervous, like dang, his mom is not gonna like me. Like I'm bringing a kid around her son that's not even her son's child, you know. But my mother-in-law is like the best woman in the world. Like that lady is my everything. Like I cherish her so deeply. Like I love her with everything in me. Like I love her like I love my mom. Like my mother-in-law is my second mom. Um but yeah, seeing how everybody accepted my child was a blessing, you know. Till this day, I still wish that things didn't turn out the way they did, but things happen for a reason. God does things for reasons, and those reasons I may never know why. But today, January, say 13? Yeah, January 13, 2020, I have a healthy, beautiful 8-year-old. I wish his life wasn't so rough in the beginning days of his life. I wish everything could have went down differently. One thing I am thankful for that I got out that relationship was him. He was the best thing that ever happened out that relationship. And I never through any of the moments that I went through with him, well, with his dad, did I ever wish him bad. I prayed for him. I prayed if he ever got a girlfriend or ever had other children, that he would be there for them the way he wasn't for ours, you know? And I may have some teens watch this video, and my message to you girls and you guys is don't rush, you know? Don't rush yourself to grow up. Don't rush yourself to get into relationships. Don't rush yourselves to get out of your mom's house. Don't rush yourselves out of high school. Enjoy your teenage years, because those years you will never get back. Never. And I don't regret getting pregnant at the age that I did. I had the fun that I wanted to have. Now I'm all about my husband, my children, and my family, you know? I'm all about them. I start school soon. I'm gonna be updating you guys on that. But yeah, that was about it for this video. If you liked it, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to share it forward with friends, share it in your social media, anywhere you would want to share it, go ahead. I love you guys, and peace.